Hello, my front-end friend. The other day I was scrolling on my phone and I came across an article and the title looked suspiciously AI generated, and these happen in my newsfeed sometimes and I usually ignore them, but I wanted to give this one a read, but I figured it'd be fun to read it with you to see how it does, because just based on the title I think we're going to be getting some interesting AI slop. CSS is essential for professionals. Obviously, it helps front-end teams interact better, but it helps back-end developers grasp what styles mean on that tech stack. Just before we do dive into that, though, I do want to let you know that if you're looking for any sort of, a shirt to let people know you're a front-end friend or something, I do have a range of merch. There's 3 shirts there down below. This is my color space one. I have a grid one, and I also just have a CSS one, so you can show your love for any of those. And if you're wondering about a Flexbox one, there might be something on that front coming soon. But yeah, let's dive into this article here. What is CSS? Cascading Style Sheet explained. So right away, cascading style sheet was a pretty big red flag there. Explained for beginners and professionals. Also interesting here is the date is different from the date. This is after the first day I saw it. So I just bookmarked it in my idea list for my videos. So they're just like constantly fubbing the date that's on there. And that probably is why it got put into my newsfeed, because it got picked up as new content on CSS, and Google knows I like CSS stuff apparently. What is CSS and why does it matter? Picture a house that is unpainted. Its walls look bare, upon the windows there is no grandeur, and all appear functional but dull. Like this is like Hallmark AI writing, right? Upon the windows there is no grandeur. I love it. That was the website's look back in the early days of HTML. Oh, this is supposed to be an M dash, but we got a hyphen. I thought that was like one word. That was the website's look back in the early days of HTML. Just text, links, and the occasional table. Then stepped in that silent artist working behind every web page that you found ever worth a glance. The decorator of the internet, the painter of pixels, CSS. That's a pretty awesome introduction. I love it. Oh my goodness. So what is CSS? In simpler words, CSS is a language describing how particular elements in HTML should be displayed. If HTML skeletons a web page, that's an awkward way to write it, but okay. Then CSS dresses it. It spruces it out. I'm wondering how old this is. This feels like, now that I know that the date is actually changing, this feels like something that was old AI slop. Like the newer stuff, I feel would be better at it than this. It still overdoes things the same way this one does, but some of the turns of phrases here are really bizarre. So HTML is what you see, how you see it. Oh, wow. Okay. So we got a code block with some blue text. That's a link going somewhere. Selectors tell CSS what to style. The P selects all the paragraph tags. Properties tell CSS what to style in the selected element. Yeah, okay. Color, font size, margin, and the values specify how the property should be styled. Okay, that makes sense. In unison, they combine to form rules. Hey, it's correct. It's using the right syntax here. The real magic, however, is when CSS and HTML begin to interact. Ooh, so what were they doing here? Were they not interacting? HTML provides the structure, we talked about that, and CSS decides the presentation. So this is how do we connect them together. So inline, internal, external. The external method is the most common way, as it keeps the code clean and easy to maintain. Just imagine dressing a mannequin rather than dressing every mannequin separately. I can't wrap my mind around that analogy at all, in any way, shape, or form. Custom properties declare reusable values such as main color, which there's a typo there. I think that's interesting. This is just their thing, but all the M dashes have got turned to hyphens, but here where there was a double, we actually have an M dash that worked here. But they had a double hyphen that it turned into an N dash, which is just like a shorter M dash. Just a side note, if you want to use your typography properly, M dashes are sort of like for those longer pauses. N dashes are for when you're doing like between two things. So if you're putting like 2 dates and you're doing it with a hyphen, it shouldn't be a hyphen, it should be an N dash. And then hyphens are when you're connecting things like words. When you work with CSS, you aren't just building static web pages, you are making experiences. Ooh, I like that. Advantages of using, what is CSS? Advantages of using CSS. What is CSS still relevant today? Okay, like before we go on here, I just want to. Google recommended this article to me in my newsfeed, and this is a problem, right? And obviously, it's just this slop coming up and polluting everything. And there's just so much of this right now. Like that. Why? What is CSS still relevant today? How does something like this have get even noticed by Google in the first place and then brought up? Like, this feels like the old web when you could just keyword stuff and get on the top of Google results. And the famous one, for those who don't know, is like shoe things, or it'd be like you just say like blue shoes like 37 times within every sentence, and it would just be there. And then you'd have like text at the bottom that was the same color as your background color, so you could just keyword stuff. So if you got to the bottom, that would look empty, but if you selected it, there'd be a whole bunch of text. And then if you read all the alt tags, it was keyword stuffing. Like, how is something this bad getting into a newsfeed just because I like CSS? And then they're using like the old trick of updating the title, I think, or not the title, the date. And then it's making it, I don't know. This is, for me, a really big problem. I don't know what the solution to it is, but yeah, this should never get surfaced by anything. But anyway, so then why should anyone bother learning CSS when there are frameworks and drag and drop tools? That is a good question. I'm very curious what it says. Easy peasy. CSS lets you separate presentation from content. HTML tells structure, CSS tells style. That does not answer this. Be consistent. Styles can be applied to hundreds of elements at a time. Still doesn't answer that. Be efficient. Add a single line of CSS to a file and change the look of the entire site. So, I mean, remember, this is for beginners and professionals. So like for a beginner, that sounds pretty cool, I guess. Adapt across devices. Responsive layouts guarantee usability across any device. Have fine performance. Lightweight compared to styles made with image-based processing. Styles made with is it just meaning like if you're using images instead of having a layout? What a weird one there. Okay, in short, it makes the website beautiful, maintainable, and accessible. None of this addressed what we were asking there. Common mistakes and troubleshooting tips. What is CSS learners struggle? What is CSS learners struggle? So CSS learners is a person? There are a few potholes which beginners might stumble into. Overuse of important. Actually, like duct tape, it works, but it gets messy. Forgetting to clear floats. I mean, is that really a struggle, or is it something we don't have to worry about? And you don't forget to clear floats. You just don't know that's a thing, and then you learn it, and then you're going to do it every time, because if not, your layout's broken. Leaning back in the responsive design. Lean back into that. What does leaning back into the responsive design? If anybody has an idea of how you lean back into a responsive design, please leave a comment to let me know what that means. Overusing nested selectors. Again, that's not CSS. Well, now I guess you could say that's CSS. Okay, I'll allow it. Pro tip, implement browser dev tools every time. You're implementing them. You're not using them. Inspect element, tweak live CSS, and debug like a pro. I mean, yes, and if you want a free course on beginner stuff, I have one. I'll link it down in the description below if you don't know your dev tools, but implementing them is not what we do. We take advantage and we use our dev tools. Luckily, someone else has implemented those features for us. Why learn CSS? What is CSS good for beginners and professionals? Again, these headlines, what is CSS good for beginners and professionals? Like, there's words just missing from all of these. It's nuts. If you're asking, is CSS worth learning in 2025? Yes, indeed. The fact that this is saying 2025, like, I know you can cheat it with the dates above. The fact that this is saying 2025, like, I don't know what model they used to write this, but it's really bad. I'm sure, like, right now, Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, like, I'm sure they could all do better than what this is. So I'm wondering if these dates are also updated, because I can't think, if this is what current models are producing, the biggest problem isn't that they're here and doing anything, because this is absolute crap. The big problem is that this is actually getting views. and again, not even if I'd like randomly stumbled across this while going through I'm digging deep into like CSS stuff, and then you find this obscure link somewhere and somehow you end up on this, it's one thing. But like, again, my newsfeed recommended this to me. let's just finish reading this. CSS is essential for professionals. Obviously, it helps front-end teams interact better, but it helps back-end developers grasp what styles mean on that tech stack. CSS is essential for professionals. Obviously, it helps front-end teams interact better. What does it do to help front-end teams interact with one another? I'm trying to like reason my way around what that could mean, and I can't come up with anything. And then just as you're lost in the confusion of what that might actually mean, but it helps backend developers grasp what styles mean on the tech stack. Like they throw that at us, and it helps backend developers grasp what styles mean on that tech stack. I would like to grasp what they're trying to say here about CSS. It's essential for professional. It helps them grasp what styles mean. I don't know. I just, all in all, from knowing CSS, you will learn to think in CSS. These insights are just fantastic. The future of CSS. What is CSS becoming tomorrow? When I first looked at that title, I thought they screwed it up, but that one actually, I can read it. But then why do we have a thus here? What does the thus? We didn't have a sentence to go before it. You can't have a thus. Thus, CSS is changing quickly. The future affording features for flexibility and control is beyond subgrid, container queries, and CSS Houdini. Future affording features? What's a future affording feature? I don't know what that means either. And then, of course, from there, it goes on to like buy our course. And I'm like, I want to know, do people buy courses after reading this? Like, is this SEO juice? You're going to go on that, be like, oh, this is what CSS is, and it actually gets a click to a purchase. Like, if that works, I guess I need to change my business model, because holy moly. But I think, like, for me, the big problem here is just that this exists in the first place. Like, this quality of thing not only being out there, that just like it doesn't serve a purpose in any way, shape, or form. So it's just polluting everything we're doing. Literally holds no value. There's nothing in that entire thing. Or actually, sorry, that's not true. It has comedic value. But outside of that, like there's literally no value in this. And there's lots of publications and sites and people putting lots of hard work, and I'm getting it surfaced by some sort of really Google's algorithm, which like Google search was really good. And I'm assuming some of that algorithm exists in things that are surfacing things in my news feed. That like you have CSS Tricks, there's Piccadilly, there's Smashing, there's all these other websites that are out there putting out amazing content. And like, yeah, I'll see, especially from CSS Tricks, they get surfaced in my news feed. But I don't see enough from a lot of these other publications. And then I see stuff like this coming up, and it really makes me angry, I guess, and just disappointed that this is where the web currently is at. And I think from where the web was to where it is now is just like, if this is what the future is, like if this type of content can get surfaced, and just with the amount of content coming, and there's that like podcast now, or that podcast network or something, that the point of it is to be AI just flood the market. Like that's literally the business plan. To me, if I'm going to listen to a podcast, I don't want two AI bots talking to each other. What's literally the point of listening to that? I like listening to things where people are like, there's people involved in it. That's the purpose of so much of what we do on YouTube. Most people are watching entertaining content, and then if you're watching a channel a lot, it's because of the entertainment value that's there, but it's also from the other side of things, like the human side of things, right? We watch a lot of content, and we consume a lot of content, and we read a lot of content because of that humanness to it and the connection we can have with people. And I know there's the whole, people are getting connected to AI and all of that. And it's really sad, a lot of the situations that are arising from that. And that's an entire other kind of worms that is beyond the scope of what I'm going to be talking about today and this. But I just think that, like, for me, the web is such an important thing in my career, but also in my life. It's something that I've grown up with, that I've seen evolve and get better and better and better. And now all of a sudden it seems to be crumbling as this happens. And that sort of sucks. I didn't intend for this video. I wanted it just to sort of laugh at AI and not go down into something like this. So I don't know how else to end it though, other than saying like I'm really sad, I guess, that this is what's happening. And I think it just makes it more important to keep creating real content and having fun and making websites that are meaningful and valuable and that are fun, and maybe going back to the old web to a certain point when things weren't necessarily, like, we didn't always make things to be discovered. We made things because they were fun to make. I realize we have to make like a living and have jobs and things like that. So sometimes that's not always possible, but like the web for a long time wasn't necessarily, people weren't always making things just to get clicks and views. And there's subsets of the indie web that are thriving that aren't after that. They're just making sites for the sake of making sites. And I think maybe having a little bit more of that and just is like the antidote to this, maybe, or, you know, having a bit more personality and uniqueness and fun and everything else to combat whatever all this like really crap content that is coming out is. Yeah, I guess that's it. It's not, again, a different direction than I was planning. I hope you enjoyed it. And maybe more importantly than usual when I end things off here is keep on making your corner of the internet a little bit more awesome, because we need more of that more awesome to combat all of this crap.